In 2019, something broke track and field. Records fell so fast that World Athletics had to step in. The culprit? Not a drug. Shoes. They gave runners 4% more speed. In marathons, that's gold or 15th place. One man proved it. Eliud Kipchoge, October 12, 2019. 1 hour, 59 minutes, 40 seconds. First human under 2 hours. But the world wasn't celebrating. They were asking, did he do it? Or did the shoes? When Kipchoge crossed that finish line in Vienna, he wore shoes with never-before-seen technology. The prototype AlphaFly reportedly contained up to 3 carbon fiber plates in the midsole and used Pebax foam, the same incredibly resilient material often used in aerospace engineering. While normal running shoes return 50 to 65% of energy from your foot hitting the ground, this new foam returned upwards of 85%. It meant Kipchoge ran nearly 2% faster without extra fatigue. The midsole was thicker than anything allowed before, estimated at 50 millimeters in the prototype version. But the Pebax foam was incredibly light, nearly weightless. You could hold a pair in one hand. The carbon plates functioned like springs under his feet, extending stride length and reducing ground contact time. Studies showed the earlier Vaporfly shoes improved running economy by 4%. In marathon racing, 4% is enormous, the difference between Olympic gold and 15th place. This was engineering at its most advanced. The moment those shoes hit the market, running records stopped being safe. In 2019, everything changed at major marathons. At the Chicago Marathon, a Kenyan runner named Bridget Kosgei laced up Nike's road version of the Super Shoe. She shattered Paula Radcliffe's women's marathon world record that had stood for 16 years. Her time was 2 hours, 14 minutes, and 4 seconds. Radcliffe's old record was 2 hours, 15 minutes, and 25 seconds. Kosgei improved it by more than 80 seconds in a single race on that day. Within weeks, the fastest marathon times ever recorded were being reset. Runners wearing the Vaporfly or AlphaFly filled the top spots in history. At elite events like the Hakone Ekiden and various international marathons, massive percentages of the top finishers wore the shoes. It became almost impossible to run competitively without them. Athletes who had chased personal records their entire careers suddenly found themselves running minutes faster. Other shoe companies watched in shock. ASICS scrambled to develop their own super shoes. Brooks Sports made a public statement admitting they would normally spend years perfecting new shoes. But the pressure forced them to accelerate products to market. Meanwhile, Nike kept innovating. In track and field, the situation grew more extreme. Nike developed the Vaporfly Spike for sprinters. It had the same carbon plate and responsive foam concept as the marathon version, but was designed specifically for the 100-meter and 200-meter distances. When sprinters tested these types of spikes, they described the sensation as bouncing on trampolines. Track and field historians began calling it technological doping. If an athlete took a banned drug and ran faster, that was cheating. But if an athlete wore a shoe engineered to return drastically more energy, was that cheating too? The sport had never faced this question on this scale before. Equipment had always evolved incrementally. A slightly lighter shoe, marginally better cushioning, small improvements that spread across all companies over time. But these super shoes were different. They represented a leap forward that only one brand had achieved initially. Other companies would spend years catching up. The immediate result was really unfair. If you were sponsored by Nike, you had access to shoes worth an estimated 4% improvement in economy. If you were sponsored by any other brand, you did not. Two runners with identical ability and training could line up at the same race, and the one in the super shoes would win simply because of their footwear. That had never been so blatantly true in long-distance running before. World Athletics, the global governing body for track and field, faced a dilemma. If they banned the shoes, they would be saying innovation itself was unfair. If they allowed them, they would be accepting that only athletes with specific sponsorships could compete fairly at the highest level. Usain Bolt, the greatest sprinter in history, spoke openly about concerns regarding the new spike technologies. He called the new super shoes weird and said it was laughable that they were allowed. Other athletes expressed profound frustration. If you did not have access to the best shoes, you could not compete fairly. even if you trained harder than everyone else. On January 31st, 2020, World Athletics made their move. They announced new rules that would govern running shoe technology going forward. Midsole thickness would be capped at 40 millimeters for road racing and 25 millimeters for distance track events. Only one rigid carbon fiber plate would be allowed, not multiple overlapping plates. Shoes had to be available for purchase on the retail market for at least 4 months before they could be used in elite competition. No exclusive prototypes, no secret versions. Every athlete had to have access to the same baseline technology. The ruling was a partial victory for Nike. Their core Vaporfly and the newly adjusted Alphafly met the new standards, so they remained legal for road racing. But the Nike Vaporfly spikes for track sprinters were halted before the Tokyo Olympics because they did not meet the strict new track limits. Certain prototype versions of other brands' shoes were also banned. The message was clear: innovation was welcome, but there were limits. Competitors rushed to develop compliant versions of their own super shoes. Adidas designed the Adios Pro. Asics developed the Metaspeed. Brooks Sports accelerated their Hyperion line. The regulation did not stop innovation. It redirected it. The shoes continued evolving, but within guardrails that World Athletics hoped would preserve the sport's integrity while allowing for technological advancement. Yet, the problem never fully disappeared. The regulations created a two-tiered system. Amateurs could still legally wear shoes that violated elite rules in their local races. This meant a hobby runner could buy and own technology that a world record holder was banned from using in an official competition. Puma eventually pushed these boundaries further in the concept market with the Fast RB Nitro Elite, a monstrous 58mm heel stack, sitting 18 millimeters above the World Athletics legal limit. The shoe featured 3 carbon plates and a radical shape that acted like a mechanical springboard. Puma made a statement. They were showing exactly how far running technology could advance when the rulebook was thrown out. Only 1,000 pairs were made, selling for heavily premium prices. Some experts argued this showed that innovation would never stop. Companies would always find ways to push boundaries, creating new halo products and new debates about what the human body is capable of. Others said the elite regulations were working exactly as intended. They prevented the technology from distorting Olympic competition while allowing the retail market to experiment freely. The controversy never truly settled. World Athletics set hard limits, but questions lingered. Were the regulations enough? Did they do enough to protect the sport? Or did they just legitimize the new baseline that had already been built? Some athletes and coaches argued that super shoes had actually improved the sport. They encouraged innovation. They made faster recovery possible, allowing athletes to train harder and longer. They showed what human beings could accomplish with optimized equipment. Biomechanics experts pointed out that sports like cycling and swimming regulate equipment all the time while still seeing massive technological shifts. Why should running be different? Others argued the opposite, that running should be purely about the athlete, not the engineering. That records meant less when equipment changed so dramatically year to year. A marathon record set in 2015 became almost impossible to compare to a 2019 record run in carbon plates. How could you compare athletes across decades if the technology beneath their feet was doing so much of the work? Critics continued to call it technological doping, arguing that wearing a super shoe gave an artificial boost that undermined the purity of foot racing. The fairness debate also highlighted inconsistencies. World Athletics was willing to strictly regulate shoe technology, but historically accepted the massive advantages of drafting, pacemakers, and ideal weather conditions. If you cared purely about an unaided human effort, where do you draw the line?